gives them experience not just of what it's like to fight in a big arena, but also they sort of test their tools. Iron sharpens iron, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
They put them up against the best young talent. So when I've been out there, just peeling the curtain back a little bit, it's almost scary, the amount of talent that we have yet to see come out of this country and countries around it. So, very exciting.
Exciting times ahead, 100%. So many good fights on this 47 card then. But what are some of the other fights, Brian, you think Scotland fans are sure not to miss out on?
Well, obviously we've got the Scottish. We've got 7 Scottish fighters on that, and we're really happy about that. So for me, that spine of Scottish talent, all the way from your Robert Whitefords, down your Bungards, Kieran Malone's, down to people like Callum Murray, who's going pro in this one, and he's just a phenomenal fighter, an absolutely unbelievable prospect. He was with me at Glasgow yesterday, and I saw him doing some training out as well with 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu over in LA, and just to have somebody like that on the card really highlights what they're trying to do. And he going up against Josh Abraham, which is an Englishman stepping up against a rising Scot, and that for me will be one to watch. Another one that really people have got to have their eyes on is Ryan Scope versus Yusuf Umarov. Now, Ryan Scope was, I think he's 8-0, or yes, I'm sure he's 8-0. So he's undefeated, but he sort of disappeared off. He was causing an absolute tear on the MMA scene, but mentally he wasn't quite settled into it. He wasn't quite there, mature enough to really cope with what was going on around. But he's put it all together. I spoke to Brendan Loughnane, who he was sparring with to help Brendan for his last fight on Tanko, and Brendan just said he's a different animal. He is tuned in, he's focused, he's really taking this seriously now, and in Brendan's word, he said he is the man. So to see Ryan Scope return against Yusuf Umarov, who is a Russian fighter, I think he's 9-1. I think he's got 5 knockouts as well. He hits hard. He's got that Russian wrestling background. So to see what Scope is looking like, are we going to see Ryan Scope 2.0, and how is that talent of Yusuf Umarov going to travel over to Scotland? That is one to watch without a doubt. Another one which truly could headline any card in the UK and Europe, I think, is Danny Mitchell versus Jake Bostwick. All English fight here. Danny Mitchell, superb submission specialist, got 2 twister submissions in his career, which is unheard of if you think about how elusive they are in the fight game. Up against Jake Bostwick, who I've stood next to the man. He's a lovely man, but he is scary as shit. Tattoos all up his neck. He could be the poster boy for MMA over here. He's physically an absolute specimen, and he's been training out at American Top Team with Whiteford, with the monsters that they've got out there, and some of the training videos they've sent back have been seeing what he's doing over there. He was sparring with Bigfoot Silver ahead of Bigfoot's fight this weekend. So that gives you a sort of idea of how game he is. So that for me is a phenomenal fight as well. But there's just so many, 19 fights and so many sort of really good scraps ahead. So I'm really hoping we get a load of Scottish support out there, so we can keep bringing this event back year on. It maybe twice a year we'll end up back in Scotland, which would be an amazing thing.
Yeah, awesome stuff. ACB's making big moves in Europe, like you said, what with their signing talents and expanding the roster. Talk to me, Brian, what the experience has been like for you personally, sir, out on your travels in Russia, and what the future sort of holds for the company in the months ahead.
For me, crazy as hell, mate. Absolutely unbelievable. Russia is twice the size land mass, almost twice the land mass of America. So if you think about that, if you think how big America is, and then times that by 2, it's just a vast country, and it's very different each of the places we've gone. We've been like last time we were in St. Petersburg, very multicultural city, lots of history, loads of tourists, lots of money going into that. And then the week before that we were in Penza, the month before that we were in Penza, which is like Birmingham in the 1940s. It was it's just a crazy thing to go around and see these different places. But the thing that's truly blown me away is the talent pool. They have amassed, I think they've got the second biggest roster on the planet. I think they have they've grown to the second biggest promotion on the third biggest promotion. I apologise on the planet, and they've got nothing but ambition as far as where they could take this and how this could potentially grow as a promotion. The good thing that I like that they're doing is they are there's a guy called Maribek who is the owner of the promotion, and he's very aware, he's very clued up exactly the perception of Russian MMA, and I had it myself when I went out there. I thought if a Russian fights somebody from Brazil or England or Scotland, there's no way they're going to win unless they choke somebody out or they knock them out. Yeah. When there have been a couple of ropey decisions, because that is one thing the Russian MMA scene has still yet to grow, and they're very aware of it, is their judging and their refereeing. When there's been a couple of decisions, he physically stepped in there and said, look, we're going to investigate this, and if there's been something that's been found that it's not being officiated properly or the scorecards were hugely biased, they've overturned these decisions. So he's really trying to step away from and trying to rebuild the reputation of Russian MMA and what it is. And one of the steps he's wanting to do is take it out of Russia into places like the UK and beyond, so that it's a standalone promotion and not just one that people think only happens in Russia and you'll only win if you beat a Russian by knocking them out or choking them out. So for me personally, just a crazy whirlwind experience that I've loved to watch, and an eye-opening one at that. And for the promotion, it's just exciting, the fact that they have the capabilities to make these leaps and to open up these new markets. So I'm hoping the Scottish, we know we've got a good chunk of Scots in there already, but there's still a chance to buy tickets, still tickets available, ticketmaster.co.uk. Yep. Let's fill it out, let's show them exactly the sort of noise we can make, and let's get back to Scotland twice a year.
Brian, always a pleasure to get your time here on the Martial Arts Chat podcast. The One Punch podcast as well, with yourself and Mr. Brad Pickett. What have you guys got coming up in the future? What's the plans?
It's we've put it on hold slightly just because Brad has his fight in a couple of weeks on the 8th of November. Come on, Pickett, come on, do your thing. But we will be meeting up, basically once a week, and it's like hanging out with a kid, mate. It is honestly, it is a beautiful thing that somebody, and you might call it. He always says this, I've been hitting the head a lot, but like from everyone I've spoken to, he's been like this his whole life. It is like just hanging out with somebody who their number one priority in that day is to cause trouble and mischief. So we'll be doing that, reviewing fights, talking other sort of rubbish that goes in on and around our lives. That'll be out once a week. So join that, the One Punch podcast on iTunes, mate. On iTunes. Fantastic stuff, sir. Brian Lacey, massive thank you again for your time. Enjoy the fights on Saturday, my friend. Thank you very much. All the best, mate. Thanks for the time. Always a pleasure to get Brian's thoughts here on the Martial Arts Chat podcast. Well, it's the final part of the show for us here, folks, and something of a regular feature we do is a thing called the MMA Roundtable. And this week it's an ACB special, as you can imagine. So it's a chance for our panel members to give us some predictions and thoughts ahead of Fight Night. So sit back and listen to the thoughts of Fight Talk Scotland, the Daily Records, and the light heavyweight champion Paul the BearJew Craig. Saturday. Joining us on the panel today, we have Don Wilson of Fight Talk Scotland, Tom Heffernan of the Daily Records, and Bama's light heavyweight champion Paul the BearJew Craig. Guys, thanks so much for giving us your time here today on the show. Always a pleasure. No problem. Yep. Good to be here. Thanks for having us on.
It's a pleasure. I've got a cup of green tea and I'm ready to chat some shit.
There we go. A cup of green tea. This Saturday, guys, big event, Glasgow's Hydro, big names on the card as well, and obviously we've got our Scottish boys there too. And let's get straight into some of those fights, starting with Stormin Norman Parke. He takes on one Andrew Fisher. And to be honest, I'm still quite in shock that Norman Parke isn't in the UFC, but I suppose it means we get to see him do his thing at the Hydro, so better for us. Let's start with Don Wilson on this one. Don, how do you see this one going down when Andrew Fisher takes on judoka Norman Parke? Yeah, I think you're right saying. I think Parke was unlucky with his UFC release. He went 5-3-1 there before he gets slip, and he was only 1-1 when he got that. He wasn't obviously on a skid by any means. But that's the fight game these days. If you can be out with one loss, and that's you've got to kind of work your way back in. I see Parke taking the centre of the cage in this one, using his distance to get through Fisher's guard. Fisher can sometimes keep his guard quite wide.
leaving space for Parke to come in straight down the middle. If Fisher can get Parke to the ground, it'll probably work to get into second control. He's from watching some clips tonight, he seemed to like getting inside, holding a guy down, and just working for there.
Super Mario.
Super Mario's made an appearance.
Somebody's just got large.
Someone's taking a mushroom. What's going on?
But even on Fisher on his feet, he keeps even on his guard sometimes wide. He keeps his shots tight.
Yeah.
And if there's a sub on the ground, I'm sure he'll go for it. If it stays standing, I'll give it to Parke. He'll keep his distance, he'll use his range, and if it goes to the ground, Fisher could possibly get up a hand, but Parke is good at getting up. If he gets taken down, he's always making his way to that cage, getting up, reversing ground stuff. And I think this will be a really fast-paced fight.
Absolutely. And Tom, same question to you, sir. What's your thoughts on Norman Parke, and how do you think he'll fare against Andrew Fisher?
I don't see this fight lasting long at all, to be honest. I'm like everybody else, couldn't believe Parke got the release. He had some tough fights. He took on some of the best guys. He didn't refuse anybody. Plus, I think the UFC would have known they were coming to Belfast, and yet they still released the only guy from Northern Ireland. So I thought that was such a bizarre move. But it's not all lost for Norman. I can see him being back there very soon. But in terms of this fight, spoke to Norman quite recently there, and he is super up for this one. He said that he's going back to his roots. He's got the hunger again. He's got the desire, and it'll be burning away inside that he's got the UFC in his sort of hometown, and he's not there. So he will be coming out here to make a massive statement. I don't see this lasting long. I think he'll finish him fairly quickly.
Fair play. And finally, Paul, Stormin Norman, his last fight, like we said, was back in February in that UFC contest. But he's no stranger to big venues, big arenas. How do you think he'll fare when he takes on Andrew Fisher?
I've listened to the guys here, and I think that Norman Parke takes a submission. I think it stands up, Norman Parke will outstrike him, take him the distance. I think it goes to the ground, which I think it will. I think both guys will be happy to be there, but I see Norman Parke taking that. I know Andrew Fisher is no slouch on the ground, but I just see Norman Parke as a more rounded fighter. Yeah. As you said, he's just been released for the UFC, so he's been competing at that top level for a number of years now. And as same as everybody else, pretty shocked that it happened. And I imagine after this fight, he'll probably get a nod to go to the UFC in Ireland when it's over here in November.
Big for Belfast, good shout. Guys, let's move on to some of the Scottish fighters on the card, starting with Scottish Hit Squad's own, the bad guy, Chris Bungard. And Paul, I'll come to you first on this one. Your teammate, sir, a guy you know very well, he's matched up against Gavin Hughes, who's a young up-and-coming prospect, undefeated as well, in fact. How's Bungie feeling in the build-up to this one, and how's it all going to go down, sir?
I've never seen Bungie training this before. He is a different animal. He obviously got that loss in Bama, and he wanted to get straight back in there and get back to his fighting ways. So he had a tune-up fight at FFC and became the FFC World Champion, or British, whatever champion you want to call it. But he did it anyway. Great fight for Bungard to get his confidence up there, and then he's going to go in and he's going to beat Gavin. I see Bungard, the Bungard that turns up on the night, if he wants to box, I can see him beating him in the stand-up.
Yeah.
The Bungard that can wrestle and grind a win, he turns up that night, then he takes him to the ground, and Gavin Hughes gets beat anyway. Gavin Hughes not got a massive list of names on his the guys he's beat. He's 5-0. I know he's going to be dangerous, but he's not fought MD. Mm-hmm. He's not fought at the level that Bungard's fought at, and that's where I think Bungard's going to take us. The fact that he's been in these big shows and he rises to the occasion. Bungard, one of the biggest draws in Scottish MMA for a guy who's always been this massive draw, even as an amateur.
Yeah, absolutely. Don Wilson, how do you think Bungard will fare against Hughes? Bungard, no doubt, he'll have a hometown support, but will the crowd play a factor in this fight, do you think?
Yeah, he stumbled in his Bama debut. Obviously, there's elbow to the back of the head, kind of whether he recovered and stuff. But I obviously want to make a statement here. So, like, that loss, even though he's won that thing, that loss probably still being fresh in people's mind. They might remember him for the Bama. So, if you want to make a statement here to say I can get back there. That was just a wee stumble in the road. Nothing to do. Obviously, Paul said he's been training his ass off. He likes to control the ground, use his elbows. I think Hughes does look pretty good. Looks like a big, strong guy. But yeah, I see Bungard kind of outworking him, getting to the ground and hopefully get a finish on the ground.
Finish on the ground for you. And finally, Tom, what's your thoughts when Hughes takes on Bungard?